Good morning, everybody, and welcome to World Book Week for your English this week. So, as we know, World Book Day is on Thursday, but as a school, we always like to choose a book that every year group can access and learn something from and produce work from. So, we're going to focus on this book all week, and we're going to do lots of nice writing from it as well. So, our book that Ravensfield has chosen is called After the Fall, and the author is Dan Santat. Okay, so the first thing I need you to do is obviously read it, is have a look at it. Obviously with us not being in school, we can't read it to you. We've tried our best. There should be a video from Miss Ingham that you can see her reading it. But if you click on the link in Dojo, which is the same as the one on the screen right now, this will take you to a YouTube link of the actual story being read out. So you can have a look at the pictures, you can pause it, you can re-watch it again. It's not very long at all. It's about 3 minutes being read to. So just so you get an idea of what's going on, and then this will help us with our writing. So just a little insight into the book. It is a story about Humpty Dumpty and what happens after the nursery rhyme. So as we know, in the nursery rhyme, Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall and he had a great fall. Whereas this book talks about what happened to him afterwards, after the fall, and his fear of heights. So life begins when you get back up, and it was written and illustrated by Dan Santat. So he was the writer and the person who drew all the images, which is amazing. The story of After the Fall follows Humpty Dumpty, who's an avid bird watcher because he loves his birds, who loves to be up high on the city wall. But after his fall, Humpty is terrified of heights and can no longer do his favourite things. He finally puts together the courage to climb back up the wall, and based on the beloved nursery rhyme, this is an inspiring and unforgettable picture book, and it will encourage us to overcome our fears. We need to learn to get back up. So there's a nice synopsis. You can freeze the screen here if you want to look at the reviews, but I just put this on the screen now to look at how much praise the author got for this book, because not only is it a book at face value if it's a really nice story about Humpty Dumpty, but it's got a really underlying message about a growth mindset and getting back up and not letting your fears defeat you and always trying again. Okay, so there's a really nice message in there as well that I want you to pick up on. So there's some nice reviews as well. And this is my little account as well to keep us following the understanding. So Humpty Dumpty was, by his own account, put back together again at the King's County Hospital following his dramatic tumble from the wall. So that's what we know about the nursery rhyme. He fell off and he's broken. Whereas now in the story, he regularly went to birdwatch. That's why he went up on the wall. But mending the body, or his shell, does not necessarily mean he's mended his soul. And now he has a fear of heights, and he's a traumatized egg, and he cannot pursue his favourite activities, which is even like reaching for the good cereals on the top shelves or sleeping in his bunk bed, and mainly communicating with the birds because he can't be up on the wall. He's so terrified. His mastery of the art of folding paper planes provides only some of the missing joy. So as you can see in the story, he wants to join in with the birds again, so he decides to make paper plane birds to try and get up there. But when a particularly beautiful glider heads over the wall, Humpty Dumpty musters the courage to climb back up the ladder that he was so afraid of. There, atop of the wall, arms raised in victory, he reveals in his freedom from fear and quite literally breaks out of his shell and takes flight as his true nature commands. The Eggman is, after all, a bird. So as you can see at the end, when he climbs and he conquers his fears, he turns into a bird at the end because that's who he is on the inside. That's what he dreams of being. So it's quite a really nice story and illustration. So I want you to have a look at these discussion questions that this book really evokes in us. So have you ever tried something and it didn't work out the way you planned? So that could be an activity, it could be some work. So have you ever done something that you really had your focus and your mind to and something went wrong? So I want you to write down the answers to these 4 questions in your book as it's kind of getting us thinking a little bit. Have you ever tried something and it just didn't go the way you wanted it to? And then number 2, if you were Humpty Dumpty, would you decide to climb back up the wall? Obviously, it took him a few weeks to muster the courage and to get over his fear of heights, and it took that he had to obviously understand and make the birds, and then it flew over the wall, so it took him a while to get his courage back. So if you were Humpty Dumpty, what would you do? You've just fallen from the wall. Would you get straight back up there again, or would you be scared and would you have to kind of like work up that courage again, muster the courage? Number 3, have you ever faced a fear and how did you handle that? So that could be a fear of spiders, but you had to pick one up and throw it away. It could be a fear of snakes, that you've held one when you're on holiday. It could be just a fear of not doing your work right and you get a bit upset if you feel like you've not done something correctly. It could be a fear of heights as well, and you've decided to go high on the swing and you've conquered that fear. So what is your fear and how do you handle that? Do you kind of run away from it and try and avoid it, or have you kind of faced it straight on? So I want you to tell me about your fear. And then what advice would you give to Humpty Dumpty about climbing back up the wall? So when he's at the bottom and his bird's gone over the top, what advice would you give to him to give him the muster of the courage, the encouragement to get back up? What kind of things would you say? So I want you to write those 4 questions now. You can pause the video whilst you do this, and then obviously unpause it when you're ready to move on. So this image is something that you're quite familiar with, is the feel wheel. So we're going to think about the emotions that Humpty Dumpty would be feeling at different points in the story. So throughout the story, his emotions really waver and they contrast depending on his thoughts and what's going on within the story. So what I would like you to do is that we've chopped this story into 3 parts: the beginning, the middle, and the end. And I want you to think of 3 emotions that Humpty would be feeling for each of those sections, okay? So at the beginning, when he's just fallen down and he's now afraid of heights, I want you to write 3 emotions that he might be feeling. So we're looking somewhere maybe around the sad column here in the blue, the disgusted in the brown, angry, the red, fearful, the yellow. So obviously the right hand side of the wheel, because he's not happy or surprised, but he's quite sad, and obviously he's insecure and he might be feeling nervous. Yeah, so have a look at this feel wheel, and I want you to write down 3 emotions that he will be feeling at the beginning of the story, the middle of the story when he's missing the birds and he decides to make a fake bird, a paper bird, and then the end of the story when the bird accidentally flies over and then he goes up to retrieve it, therefore conquering his fears. So you can use the feel wheel or you can think of your own, but the feel wheel is a really nice resource to help us expand our vocabulary on that outer wheel that you can see is really nice Year 5 language. So yeah, you should have 3, 6, 9 words on your piece of paper. So 3 for the beginning, 3 emotions for the middle, and 3 emotions for the end. So pause your screen now, and that is your task for now, please, and then unpause when you have done those 9 words. Okay, so now we're going to delve a little bit deeper. You have already looked at the 3 feelings that he'll be feeling, so we're going to break it up into beginning, middle, and end. Okay, so you need to think about 3 feelings that he would be feeling that you should have already written, 3 statements that he would be thinking or saying to himself in his head. I want you to write those down. So it could be, oh, I'm not good enough, oh, I'm really aching. It could be, oh, I'm never going up there again. Anything that you think he would be saying to himself in his head, any thoughts that he would be going on. 3 show not tells. What would his body be doing to show his emotion? He might have red eyes from crying. He might have slumped over shoulders. He might have a bit of a limp because he's aching, because he's fallen down and his body hurts. And then 3 actions as well. So it might be that he's crying. It might be that he's rubbing his arm because it's aching. It might be that he's just in bed because he's sad and he's a bit depressed because he can't go and see the birds. So again, you need to write down 3 statements, 3 show not tells, and 3 actions. You've already wrote those 3 feelings. So you can write a little subheading where it says beginning, like I've done, and then all those words and statements underneath it. And we're going to do the same for the middle and the end. You can pause the video now to have a go, or you can carry on because I've done an example for you on the next slide, which is what I expect from the middle as well. So as you can see, task 2 is the middle. So I've done an example here. I've put middle example as my subheading. Then I've done feelings and then a dash, and I've said he might be feeling numb, he might be feeling vulnerable and isolated because he's on his own. And I've told you why. I've said he would be feeling these things because, there's my conjunction, he is desperate to get back on the wall and feels alone without the bird. So I've done my 3 feelings and I've told them why. Then I've gone to the next one, 3 statements, and I've just put them in quotes because that's what he would be saying to himself or in his head. So remember your quote marks. I wish I could go back up there. I miss my bird friends. Maybe making paper planes will make me feel better. So they're the 3 things that I think he might be saying to himself. And then we've got the show not tell, so we might have collapsing shoulders as he walks a bit depressingly, red eyes from where he's been crying, he might have paper cuts on his fingers from failing to make the paper birds, so he might be rubbing his fingers, or he might have plasters on his fingers. And then 3 actions, I've said he's looking up to the wall a lot, every time he walks past it he just looks at it and he's sad. He's making the paper birds and he's staying away from any high things that make him nervous. So like it says in the book, he's staying away from the top shelf of the cereal and his bunk bed. So really, really simple and easy. Those 3 things, you've got 3 feelings, 3 statements, 3 show not tells and 3 actions. And you need to do that for each section of the book. So the beginning, the middle and the end. So here again, I've given you an example, so ending, 3 feelings, 3 statements, 3 show not tells and 3 actions, and then there's the little bit of chopped feel wheel that I've got for you because he's mostly feeling really happy and really surprised in himself because he's obviously gone back to the top of the wall to retrieve his bird and he's feeling free and he's feeling overpowered and he's feeling powerful and achievement and pride because he's got to the top and he has conquered his fears. So that's what I need you to do today. I need you to do all those 3 things for each of those sections, and that is your English lesson, and that's going to help us for the rest of the week when we are writing, okay? And what have we achieved? We've just empathized with a character, so it means we've put ourselves in that character's shoes and thought about how they would be thinking and what they would be feeling. So that's a really good skill to have. This will really help us when we write our diary entry from Humpty's point of view over the next few days, and we can get into his shoes and headspace and begin to understand the character. So again, you can go back through this video to make sure that you know exactly what you're doing, and make sure to re-watch the After the Fall video if you're a bit stuck, because there's loads of great imagery and understanding in that book, and it will help you think about how Humpty Dumpty would be feeling at that point. Okay? Again, post everything that you've done on Dojo. We can't wait to see it, and we can't wait to get into the nitty-gritty of writing for this World Book Day.